Shalom and welcome. Now, in the UK and specifically in England, I suppose, there seems to be some sort of football match on tonight. So before that all kicks off, and the whole nation is either celebrating a victory or drowning their sorrows, which will go on for some days and maybe a week, I thought I would carry on with the story, just breaking with tradition a little bit. Last time, I think we finished with an introduction to Abraham and some of the difficulties that he had before his great journey that God sent him on. And his journey continues, and it goes on for a long time, from a very small family to a slightly larger family, to a small nation, to a slightly larger nation, until we come to present-day Israel. And it goes from more of a specific type of journey rather than generalities, because it is the birth and really the beginning of the Jewish nation. But it has a general feel because a part of the story is our responsibilities to the rest of the world. But it really is a story about the development of Israel, as I say, until the present day nation that it is. And so I thought, actually, before we start off with Abraham, because it is rather a long journey, I would talk about life stories through a journey. And I'm going to use mine as an example. But I didn't write it. I wish I had. It was actually written by Portia Nelson, who I believe was an American singer, songwriter, and poet. And this is one of her poems. It's one of those poems, you know, the roses are red, violets are blue. Some poems rhyme and some don't type. And when I read it, I thought, well, I've never met you, but how did you know so much about me? And then looking at it, I guess that the life of Abraham, as we see when we go through it, follows a very similar course. And I thought that perhaps it's relevant to all of us. And therefore, if you're young, you may come in at halfway through it, say chapter 3. If you're like me, a little closer to the end of your life, although I've still got lots of things that I want to do, it may give some relevance to where you are at this time. And there's some lessons to be learned from it as well. So without further ado, an autobiography, my life story in 5 short chapters. And fear not, they are very short chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I don't see it and I fall in. I am lost, helpless. It isn't my fault, but it seems to take forever to get out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it and fall in again. I can't believe that I'm in this place, but it isn't my fault. It still seems to take a long time to get out. Chapter 3. You guessed it, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it's there, but still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. I see where I am, and it is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street, and there's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk round it. Chapter 5. I walk down a different street. Sums up my life fairly well. I'm now happily, hopefully, walking down a different street. Now, I'm sure there's going to be lots of alleys and side turns, and I have a habit of going down wrong ones every now and again. But I am going to try and avoid those holes in the sidewalk. So as we get into Avram, we can see which part of his life fits in to that life story. And as I say, have a look at it yourself and think, where am I in amongst those chapters? And maybe just with some thought and some recognition of that, we can avoid some of those holes and get on the right street a little bit earlier than chapter 5. Until next time, shalom and enjoy the football.